Thank you. So I'm here with Chris. Chris is the regional sales manager for this region. And I would like to cover with my presentation a bit about myths and truths about the cloud. And then I would like to show what's our take on helping media companies, and not only media companies, everyone who has to do anything with the content, how we are helping to move up to the cloud. As it looks like more and more companies are thinking about moving their processing pipeline up to the cloud, which they think usually is cheaper. And I will just go with some of the myths that people usually think that are true, or vice versa. So in most cases, people say that cloud is paid for what you use, and that is a myth, basically. And a lot of people learned it very hard way. So the cloud is paid for what you provision, basically. So that's why the automation piece for the cloud is really important. So you have to design for the cloud, make sure that your usage follows. So how much you provision follows your usage requirements. So let's say that in the standard model, when you have on-premise infrastructure, you usually provision for the peaks, and then, as you can see, the usage line is the other line. The straight line is how much infrastructure you have provisioned. It's static, and you can see your usage pattern is quite different, and it should basically in the cloud like this. And this happens when you forklift your on-premise setup to the cloud. So when you don't think about what cloud gives you, and you are just thinking, okay, I will just go and fire up a lot of instances, so I'm covered when I have a peak, and then everything works fine. And that's the common mistake which people do. The funny thing is that in the standard model, on average, your infrastructure is utilized probably about 30%, 30% of your capacity. In the cloud, it's just a little bit better, but not too much, because, as I said, people often think that it's the cloud is pay as you go, let's say. The another myth is that cloud is cheaper, and that depends, of course, on your use case. If you want to compare like for like, it's going to be more expensive, but it's not like for like. What you get with cloud is the flexibility and the scalability that you can't achieve in the standard model, where you have on-premise installation, because usually you can't add as fast more servers when you need them. You have to plan for it. You have to order the new servers, install them, get someone go and actually plug the cables and stuff like that. And what you get with the cloud is resilience and redundancy. When you look at the cloud, it's usually not just one region, it's multiple regions, multiple locations. So you can, if one of the locations goes down, if you designed it well, you can move your, it actually can be automated the way that if one location goes down, you can still be operating from the other location, so it will switch over automatically. And the last point is that it's not CAPEX, it's OPEX, which sometimes it's better, and for sure it helps with agility, because you don't have to wait weeks to get an approval when you just want to do a proof of concept and you need more hardware and stuff like that. Another myth is that cloud is automated, and that is true. When you look at the vendors that provide their services, like AWS or Google Cloud Platform or Azure or anyone else who actually does anything with the cloud. But you need to design your workflow because they do automate their infrastructure, their processes, not yours. So at the time when you want to use cloud or build an application, software, whatever it is, that you want to move from on-premise to cloud, you need to design it to use all of the goodies that cloud gives you. And it's since the cloud hype, let's say, or cloud market arise, there is a lot of tools that are helping to automate your processes as well. And there is one concept of it, it's infrastructure as a code. So in the same time when you are working on your software, you are also automating using software your infrastructure. So in this case, very important thing is to make sure that you are monitoring your infrastructure in the way that you know when you should scale up or down, where you should move some stuff from one place to another. And like for 3 years, there's new trend in the cloud, which is the containerization. Docker is one of the, let's say, unicorns that came along, and they are like a standard for packing your app into the container so you can run it on different providers, which helps with the portability of your app or of your content and so on. And there are a number of solutions that you can apply, which are kind of cloud orchestrators, which is Kubernetes. It's a project from Google, originated from Google. It's open source. Mesos, Docker Swarm, which is from Docker, and Nomad, which is from HashiCorp, another company which makes tools for cloud automation, basically. What we hear often is that I/O in the cloud sucks. And it might be true, of course, but it's not. You can achieve same or better I/O with cloud if you design it properly. So, and usually the cloud providers, they give you all of the ingredients to make it happen. So depending on your app, on your usage, on your workflow, you can either use high-speed ephemeral storage, which is usually SSD attached disk that you can get in your instance. For last few years, all of those cloud providers, they work hard to make sure that the persistent storage, which doesn't go away when your instance goes away, is also high speed. And you actually can achieve pretty good I/O with cloud. And again, they all are working hard to make sure that they can deliver great performance there. And there are companies like Aspera, Signiant, NetApp, and others, many more actually, which are supporting cloud to help you to get the right setup, so you don't have to figure it out by yourself. Because usually, it's like a science, I would say. It's the same applies to the cost. And another myth is that moving big data sets is impossible. Well, that's not true. It's in most cases, the bottleneck is your uplink connection that you have. So as much bandwidth as you can get from your multiple providers, there is no way that you will overflood the cloud provider. For example, most of cloud providers these days, they give you direct connect. So let's say that you don't want to push your content over public internet because it's not safe, of course. You can sign up for direct connect. It will go mostly on their network to their data center. And it's usually faster than going over public internet as well. And for object storage like AWS S3 or Google Cloud Storage or Azure Blob Storage, they support multi-chunk, multi-pair uploads. So even if you have like huge massive file and you want to put it up to the cloud, always the bottleneck will be your uplink connection. Of course, if you use the wrong tool, it wouldn't help you if you will have like 1 gigabyte of the uplink connection, because you would be just pushing like few hundred megabits or like few megabits. So you have to make sure that you are leveraging all of the goodies that are available for you when you want to do that. And again, Aspera, Signiant, and other UDP-based solutions are helping with moving your stuff up to the cloud. And there is another part is that you have a like huge archive that you would like to put up to the cloud. The fastest way to do it is just put your hard drives to the truck and send it over to the data center so they can get it into your into your storage account. And AWS actually has this kind of offering. They call it Snowball. So you get the box where you put it can be a truck as well, where you put all of your hard drives. You deliver to them. They are taking your content and putting back to you to the cloud. So if you have a lot of content, there is always a solution that you can use to get it up there. So yes, that's another thing people often are saying. And when you compare compute performance like for like cloud and on-premise, usually the cloud will be a bit slower. You wouldn't get as good compute performance. But again, it's not like for like. it's we learned it the way that when you start working with the cloud, you have to do some exercises to find out what your best approach is, what instance sizes you should use and stuff. Because as you see on this graph, you might think that when you have small instance, which let's say has like 2 CPUs and 4 gigs of RAM, it will scale linearly when you have like 4 CPUs and 8 gigs of RAM, and it's not. Usually, the higher instance you get, the higher is the performance, and it's not linear. Usually, with the higher instance type, you get the better performance. It's not 4x; it probably is 5x or 8x when you look at it this way, and because you get better I/O on the disk drives, you get better CPU speed, you get better network throughput, which all adds together when you are working with media stuff, because usually the media files they tend to be huge. So it's not a myth, it's actually true that the cloud is secure. And again, when you look at the cloud providers, they all have to be sure that the stuff that you put there is secured. So all of the big players, and I believe not just big players, they cover on all of those points, which is the data center physical security, server and software stack security. They have all of the procedures for that data destruction when they have to take the hard drive and throw it away. It's usually there's involved wiping off all of the data which is there, so there's no way that somebody will get access to it. The network is secured, and they also have processes for intrusion detection. That part is true, but you have to remember when you are doing anything in the cloud that it might be up to you as well. That all depends on which model you are using the cloud service. So when you look here, generally speaking, in Google in the compute infrastructure, it's you have 3 models, which is infrastructure as a service. And you can see it's everything is managed up to the virtualization layer. Everything above, it's up to you. Same with security. So you have to make sure that your OS is secured, or your app, everything up from the virtualization is secured. Then the PaaS, which is platform as a service, when you get an access to the runtime, so everything is configured and you just are pushing things. You have to integrate with it, of course, and you are getting things out. You have to. So you are secured by the vendor up to the runtime. Everything above, so data and application, is up to you again. So you have to make sure that you secure your data and application. In the software as a service model, it's actually the way that provider needs to take care about everything. So it has to be secured, it has to be redundant, it has to be scalable. And so here I would like to cover a bit about how we can reconstruct the production workflow from on-premise to the cloud. As you can see here, I came up with a simple graphic where you can see all of the stages when you are producing the content. So first you capture, then you have to edit it. You have to get the mezzanine file, you have to store it somewhere. Then you have to package and deliver. And depending on who is your customer and where you are pushing the content, it might be either up to the CDN or might be to the broadcaster network servers. So when you look at this, probably not everything could be in the cloud. So what we think, and I think it's not just us, is it's hard to say it, but here is this piece could be hybrid, which means that it could be stored either in the cloud or could be stored on premise. And in some cases, it should be stored in both locations. So depending on your content and depending on who the customer is, who will be the consumer, you can decide when to put things on premise and when to put things up to the cloud. In this case, let's say that you are making a show which goes to the broadcaster network. It probably makes sense to have 2 different mezzanine files. One will be to produce then the broadcasting formats and push it from on-premise facility up to the broadcasting servers. And the other mezzanine file let's say that you want to have VOD offering as well, or your customer has a VOD offering, so you will have probably a bit lower bitrate mezzanine file, which you will put into the cloud. Because when you package and deliver, why not to use cloud compute to produce those packages and then deliver to CDN? Because it's usually going to be some kind of object storage or CDN provider that you will leverage to deliver your content to the customer. So this part, mezzanine storage and package delivery, this can be hybrid. And in many cases, we see customers which want to completely replace this part with cloud. And there are customers which will never do it. They will always have to do it. They will probably always want to do it on premise. And that's fine. And we are fine with it. We are making sure at Telestream that whatever your workflow is, we want to be there to support you and help you to get you the best solution which you can possibly get anywhere. So right now I will talk a little bit about our cloud solutions that we have for media stuff, media workflows. We have two of them. One is the Vantage Cloud, and the second is Telestream Cloud. The Vantage Cloud fits between infrastructure as a service and platform as a service. It's not infrastructure as a service strictly, because what you get there is also the cloud manager, which is doing a bit of automation. But when it comes to the making sure that you are not going with a huge cost and stuff like that, you have to, it's on you basically. The Vantage Cloud also gets sorted all of the security piece from you, so it's all secured, it's all done over the private network to make sure that when files are flying between nodes, they are secured and nobody can access them who shouldn't have an access to it, basically. And Vantage Cloud is the cloud deployment of Vantage. Do you know what Vantage is? Anyone ever had an experience with Vantage? Okay, so Vantage. What is Vantage? Vantage is a powerful, scalable, software-enabled media processing platform that manages all media services from the camera to the point of distribution. So it allows the content owners to produce and producers, distributors to quickly and easily and cost-effectively ingest, edit, transform, package, monetize, and distribute their media. So it's the best solution for media transformation, I would say, that exists right now on the market. And in the standard model, it's being installed on premise. So you have to have your facility, you have to have your servers, you have to have stuff which takes care when, like you would do with any other on-premise installation, basically. And what we did is we have a Vantage Cloud, which could be used as a complete solution where you don't have a Vantage on-premise. But in some cases, Vantage Cloud is useful when you have your workflows designed in Vantage and you would like to have flexibility and scalability that cloud gives you. So what you can do, you can just export your Vantage workflows, get instance on the Vantage Cloud running, define domains there, and then you can install the workflow in the cloud. And whenever you need to, I'm looking for a word. You need to, well, let's say that you have an expected peak that you are not prepared for, handle it in your on-premise facility. You can just get Vantage Cloud to help you with that. So why Vantage Cloud is a good choice? So it is the best choice because it's based on Vantage for media architecture in the cloud. If you want to go with infrastructure as a service model, or if you are already a Vantage customer and you, as I said before, you just want to have some kind of cloud bursting when you need it in the cloud environment. And of course, Vantage does things that that from workflow perspective that anyone others can't do, and the speed and quality is unmatched across industry. And here I will talk a little bit about the Telestream Cloud, what it is, how it works, what are the tech benefits, what are the business benefits, where we are running it, and how you can use it, basically. So Telestream Cloud is a software as a service. It's owned and operated by Telestream, which means that there is no other cost but the Telestream Cloud cost when you are transforming your media files. It's easy to use file transcoding for the web, multi-screen, and selected pro formats up to 8K. We also have a support for standards conversion like Tachyon when you need to change your frame rate from 25, let's say, to 2997 or so on. So you can make it on in the model of the Telestream Cloud has, which is paid for output of content that we produce for you. We have clusters running in multiple regions, multiple providers, Google Cloud, AWS, Microsoft Azure. We also have a support for any other public cloud provider which is out there, because our infrastructure and our tool, our platform was built to be platform agnostic. So we are not tied to any cloud provider. What we need to get started with any cloud provider is basically an API to your infrastructure, so we can manage the infrastructure using API. So we can scale up and down, have an access to it programmatically. So because in the Telestream Cloud we have a concept of the factory, which is your storage location that you configure, and it can be one of those which are listed there, or it can be anything else, because as I said, our platform is built in the way that you can plug in more things, so it's very modular. And so the factory is your storage and your profiles, which are encoding profiles, let's say. So let's say that you want to make variants for Dash or HLS, or maybe some proformas as well. So you can create the factory, set up all of the profiles, set up the storage, and you can just give us where the input file lives, and we will fetch it, transcode it, and put it back to your storage location that you have configured. And everything is accessed through the API. And we've came up with a number of SDKs that are available for you. So whenever you want to integrate with us, you can go to our GitHub account, find out our SDK, and integrate within a few lines of code, basically, to use the high quality, high performance cloud solution to help you transform your media, basically. So the basic workflow for Telestream, how you can get started, is that you can sign up for an account, select subscription, create a factory to define output presets, select the storage location, and then you can either submit files through the API, or we also have concept of watch folders. So you can, whenever you drop a file to a certain location, you can pick it up, transform it, and put it back to your storage location. So we are delivering the output file to the defined storage location, and you pay by credit card or account. So to show you on the how it looks, basically, you have your file. You can use our UI or API. You have a factory, so you say, I have this file, I have this factory, I will submit through API, please make all of those outputs for me. So we will do it, we will put it back to your storage location, and that's basically it, and we will notify you as well. And the Telestream Cloud is built in a way that API first, so everything that you can do in our UI, in the web browser, you can do it using our API. So it's very flexible. So what are the tech benefits? It's with easy workflow automation. It scales seamlessly, so you don't have to worry about. Let's say that my average usage is like 10 files per hour, or 10 hours. 10 hours of content per day, let's say. But there are busy periods like, let's say, the Christmas period or any other holidays that you know that you will have a lot of content that you have to put through some kind of media automated system to get your output files, you don't have to care about this because it's our job to make sure that we have enough resources, enough capacity to transform the files and put it back to your storage, which means that we are scaling up and down with your usage patterns as well. So it's always on. There's no queuing. So whenever you push files to us, we will make sure that it's going to be delivered to you quickly. It's built on AWS, Google, and Azure infrastructure, but as I said, we also have support for public and private clouds, which means that we can run it anywhere. It's available in multiple regions. Let's say that for some reason you want to make sure that it's always on, and it is always on because we are in multiple regions. You can customize your presets, and what you get is the high quality, and we have support for GPU accelerated transcoding as well. So what are the business benefits? It's instant setup, no upfront costs required. It scales automatically. You get streamlined business operation, so you don't have to. You can eliminate the cost and time needed to infrastructure and software maintenance, so that you don't have to buy any hardware. You don't have to have any staff to support your infrastructure to make sure that everything is on, everything is working. So our job is to make sure that it's monitored. So whenever anything happens, it's our job to make sure that it's fixed and it works for you. So your files are transformed and you are a happy customer. It's cost effective. We have a flexible pricing, which is based on number of output minutes and the quality of the image. And you can find out more on our website as well. And Telestream also has a lot of other products, like Vantage was mentioned as well. We also have products for streaming. So if you need anything to help you with ingest or streaming your media events, Telestream can help you with that as well. So, any questions? Okay, thank you.